It's Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. What's being missed in the hullabaloo of blowing up narco-terrorists? More from Little Somalia and introducing Trump accounts. Next on the AM Update. Well, the big news yesterday was that a rag-on-rag crime, the New York Times blowing a big hole in the Washington Post smear job against Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Of course, the Washington Post claimed that Hegseth might have committed war crimes with follow-up orders to blow up narco-terrorists off the waters of this country. The New York Times said no such follow-up orders existed. Both of those rags citing anonymous sources. So we had New York Times versus Washington Post crime the other day. Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, actually brought up a really good point that I think needs to be repeated as often as possible. There's something big missing in the hullabaloo surrounding blowing up narco-terrorists, and it's very revealing.
I think it speaks to how depraved the Democrat Party has become, that they are more angry at President Trump for deploying the National Guard to make D.C. the safest city in the world than they are at the foreign national terrorist from Afghanistan who ambushed two innocent patriotic National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. It's just despicable. And your audience, the American public, cannot forgive, nor can we forget what the Biden administration and Secretary Mayorkas and everybody involved did to our country for 4 long years. They allowed tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over this world to invade our country's borders and to infiltrate American communities. Many of these individuals were paroled into the country, many of them known terrorists. We know, as Kevin Corke just reported, just a day before this shooting in Washington, D.C., there was another Afghan national who was caught making bomb threats in Texas. Remember, before the 2024 election, there was an Afghan national who was also caught for making bomb threats at election sites.
There's Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, on another matter, but it speaks very much to what I'm talking about with the matter of Pete Hegseth and the United States blowing up narco-terrorists. How left-wingers, meaning the Democrat Party, become so insane they are more offended at deportation efforts, curbing illegal immigration and even legal immigration from third world countries. They are more upset about that than 2 innocent National Guard members being ambushed by one of those illegal aliens who shouldn't have been here. And I think that's instructive for the matter at hand this week. Democrats, and we'll throw Lisa Murkowski in there as well. She's one of the Republicans who's clutched her pearls over what's gone on with the United States blowing up those Venezuelan narco-terrorists. They are more aghast at blowing up literal terrorists than they are at basically anything else, like those terrorists. We'll throw even Rand Paul into this mix as well. More upset about that than the terrorists who are poisoning our country. Senator Eric Schmitt of Missouri came to the defense of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
Do you support Chairman Wicker holding investigation of the second strike?
There's not going to be. That's not going to happen.
He said he was.
That's not going to happen. There's going to be oversight like we've had, but this Democrat dream of some sort of like hearing when Pete Hegseth and President Trump, well within their articles of powers to take out narco-terrorists who are poisoning 100,000 Americans every year. It's not going to happen. So we're going to have oversight. We always have oversight. But this desire by the Democrats to try to find some new thing, and I just want to put this, they're talking about prosecuting servicemen and women. So it's not enough that they censored Americans. It's not enough that they prosecuted their political opponent and tried to keep them from getting back in the White House. This is really, really dangerous road to go down. This isn't the language of we'll beat him in the next election, or we're going to have the debate in public and let the public weigh in. This is the language of a color revolution.
Amen to that. Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt. We've got some drama going on in Congress. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik of New York is really hopping mad that House Speaker Mike Johnson is allegedly, according to her, blocking a provision to, quote-unquote, root out the illegal weaponization that led to Crossfire, Hurricane, Arctic Frost, all of those deep state government overreaches. She's calling out Speaker Johnson for blocking efforts to make sure those things never happen again. That's her side of the story. Mike Johnson, yesterday, on this matter said, quote, "All of that is fake. I don't exactly know why Elise won't just call me. I texted her yesterday. She's upset one of her provisions is not being made. I think in the National Defense Authorization Act. As soon as I heard this yesterday, I was campaigning in Tennessee and wrote her and said, what are you talking about? That hasn't even made it to my level." Elise Stefanik fired back saying more lies from the speaker, and true to form, the speaker texted me yesterday claiming he knew nothing about it. Yeah, right. This is his preferred tactic to tell members when he gets caught torpedoing the Republican agenda. My provision passed out of the House Intel Committee, which is the committee of jurisdiction. You said you would fix it, so fix it. So, in the middle of congressional Republicans doing nothing, they are at least fighting. I don't know who to believe here. I'm probably going to give the benefit of that a little bit to Mike Johnson. Elise Stefanik, not exactly the most right-wing in the Republican caucus. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy provided an update on what he's doing, the work he's putting in to crack down on unqualified foreign truckers in the United States.
Commercial driver's license to foreigners, and they've gone through sham schools, and they're not safe on American roadways. And so, in partnership with Secretary Noem, we have driven those numbers down. We've got California, Gavin Newsom, to revoke 17,000 unlawfully issued licenses. We've closed out half of the fake schools that give out these fake licenses, all critically important. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota gave 33% of these licenses unlawfully. People that should never have a driver's license driving a big rig on American roads, endangering the American people, shameful.
So you heard Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Little Somalia invoked there. The Department of Transportation is now threatening to revoke over $30 million in funding for highways in Minnesota if they don't clean up what they're doing with illegal alien driver's license. More from Little Somalia. This story went viral yesterday as well. A twice convicted rapist by the name of Abdemahat Mohammed served no jail time for either rape, including a minor victim. This is happening in Minnesota, who was arrested for kidnapping a woman, holding her hostage for days, and raping her. Credit to local media in Minnesota. I saw this was being reported there. Twice for one of the most, if not the most, heinous crime imaginable. And this guy, a Somalian, getting off scot-free in Minnesota. Not to worry. This is the reason why. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who was reelected as mayor of Minneapolis by really exploiting Somalian tribal feuds, because that's a thing in American politics in the year 2025. He said he's not going to cooperate with federal investigations of Somalian fraudsters.
We are here to respond to a number of credible reports from several media outlets relaying that there are as many as 100 federal agents that will be deployed to the Twin Cities with a specific focus on targeting our Somali community. To our Somali community, we love you and we stand with you. That commitment is rock solid. Minneapolis is proud to be home to the largest Somali community in the entire country. They've been here for decades in many instances. They're entrepreneurs and fathers. They benefit both the culture and the economic resilience of our city.
So there is Jacob Frey, mayor of Minneapolis, wink, wink, nod, nod. Basically saying we're not going to help any investigations into those Somalian fraudsters who bilked the American taxpayer out of $1 billion, allegedly. When we come back, welcome to the era of the Trump account, also an eye to 2028, and you need to have a plan for protecting your home. New story out of Colorado proves that point. That's coming up next. The last couple of weeks, you probably heard Afton Bain. She was the Democrat nominee for the special election in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District. She was caught on recordings on multiple occasions. One occasion, trashing the city of Nashville, talking about how much she hates it. Tennessee's 7th Congressional District butts right up against the Nashville metro area. She hates Nashville, hates the country music, hates the scene. In another, she says she doesn't want children. All she wants is power. I mean, she is just the living embodiment of the id of unabashed, godless feminism. Well, she was going up against Republican Matt Van Epps. That special election went down yesterday. That was a Trump plus 20 some odd point district in Tennessee. Matt Van Epps called the winner by Decision Desk HQ. So that is a Republican hold, thankfully, in that congressional district. With 95% reporting, he won the seat by about 6 points. Again, that was a Trump plus 20-something odd point district. But the Republicans do hold it there, out of the grasp, the bitter clutch of that rabid, foaming at the mouth feminist who hates the district that she wanted to represent. Moving on, we just can't help ourselves, can we? Looking ahead to 2028 at yesterday's cabinet meeting, here is President Trump.
Because I want to run against it, whether it's not going to be me, it's going to be somebody that's going to probably sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people running together sitting at this table, but I want them to win because we've done a great job for this country, and I want that to be carried forward. And I think we have a tremendous bench, really a tremendous bench. But no, I think that Waltz is a grossly incompetent man.
So there is President Trump at yesterday's cabinet meeting discussing 2028. He says multiple people sitting at that table with him. That would be J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, for those of you in the back. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio. A couple of those people could be in the running for 2028. And he also, much to the chagrin, I'm sure, of certain lefties, tamps down the idea that he could run in 2028. He has trolled them relentlessly with that. But he was answering a question in earnest there. Well, this caught my eye yesterday. Of course, one of the provisions of the big, beautiful bill is that during the years of 2025 through 2028, children born in the United States as U.S. citizens, eligible for $1,000 into an account, I think similar to an IRA or 401k. It'll just be there sitting for them. They can take it out, I believe, when they are 18 years old or older. Up to $5,000 total per year per child can be contributed to this fund from all sources. This begins July 4th, 2026. Well, helping to get a jump start on those accounts, Michael and Susan Dell. Dell is in Dell Computers. They made this big announcement yesterday. They're helping the government pitch in to some of these accounts being opened for children.
This is really exciting.
Absolutely. It's a very special moment. We're making a $6.25 billion investment in America's kids through our charitable funds.
Next year, every American child will be able to get an investment account powered by Invest America.
We've seen what happens when a child gets even a small financial head start. Their world expands.
The real power of these accounts is that anyone can contribute. Parents, relatives, friends, everyone can help shape a child's future.
To philanthropists, companies, community leaders, if you want to be part of something truly meaningful for our kids, for our communities, for our country, join us.
And to parents and caregivers, stay tuned and get ready to activate your child's account. Every contribution can grow over the years, just like your child.
So there is Michael and Susan Dell of the Dell Computers fame and fortune, announcing they are not only joining in the federal government's plan to help out children born in the United States, they are pledging $6.25 billion for 25 million children. There are some strings attached. I think it's for children in areas where the median income is under $150,000, something like that. But that is a tremendous act of generosity from Michael and Susan Dell. And I'm sure there are some tax benefits for them as well. But $6.25 billion, no joke. $250 in addition to the $1,000 going into these Trump accounts for children, hoping to give a helping hand up once those children reach adulthood. Interesting idea. Interesting idea for sure. You need to have a plan for home defense. This is a story out of Denver, KDVR TV. Listen to this.
Kevin and Sarah Root were asleep upstairs when they heard a noise. Originally, they thought it may be one of their 4 kids, but as it continued,
heard heavy footsteps coming up the stairs. As a parent, you know your kids' footsteps, and this was not any of our kids.
Kevin got up to check.
We had our door slightly cracked, and I saw the shadow go by, and that just is a sinking feeling.
A man was on the staircase right next to the bedroom, having broken the lock on the front door.
As I heard him coming up, I said, "Who is this?" Just yelled, thinking, let me just let him know, like, we know you're here, we're awake.
They say the man never spoke a word as he continued up the stairs, fear creeping in as thoughts raced that he could be armed with either a gun or maybe a knife from the kitchen counter. Now he was heading towards where the kids were sleeping.
As a mom, it's just your worst nightmare. It's terrifying.
There comes a moment where you're like, this is me. If I'm husband and the father, like, it's on me to do something.
Well, Sarah called 911 from the bedroom.
It's just one of those, like, this is my moment. And so I jumped out of the bedroom and I pushed him down the stairs.
Kevin says the man fell all the way to the bottom, knocking some pictures off the wall and leaving a dent in the molding. He took this video as police arrived minutes later while the man laid on the floor.
Put your hands up.
No, the police are trying to get...
The man eventually went peacefully into custody. All he took from the home was a fall decoration from the porch.
We did find the freezer was open. He left the chicken nuggets alone. He left the waffles alone.
Well, the family was given quite a scare. They're glad it wasn't worse.
We're just thankful that everyone is okay.
Now, 36-year-old Charlie Cooley now faces a felony second-degree robbery charge. His record shows this isn't his first robbery offense either, having been arrested back in September for another felony robbery charge committed earlier in the year.
So Charlie Cooley, a 36-year-old, broke the lock on the front door of that family of 6. 4 kids sleeping. 2 parents. 2 things can be true here. Number 1, Kevin Root, the dad, is a hero. He took action when his family was in danger, knocking that burglar down the stairs until police could get there. Number 2, Kevin and his entire family are extremely lucky that this 36-year-old burglar was not armed lethally. Do you have a plan for defending your home? Do you know if you live in a state with the castle doctrine? Do you understand what the castle doctrine entails when you can use lethal force? So those are things that you need to be thinking about. Even Colorado, a reliably blue state, castle doctrine or castle law, no duty to retreat in your own home. There are other tentacles and strings that you have to look into with your particular state. Do you have a plan? Do you know what to do in a situation like that? Because that family is incredibly lucky that a burglar was not armed. And now here's this. Scott Jennings, contributor to CNN, now he has his own show on, I believe, Salem. This is not faint praise. He's been a great messenger on CNN. And yes, he's a McConnell guy. He's been very entertaining. He's not tried to do the both sides type of thing like you see so many token Republicans do on networks such as CNN. He's been a pretty good attack dog for MAGA, or at least for right-wing America. He recently spoke or was interviewed at the Manhattan Institute and was asked a question about what keeps him up at night. Listen to this.
You have. Well, what keeps me up at night? Losing elections. I mean, honestly, like the biggest danger to momentum is losing the next election. If they win, they will impeach the president again. If they win big and somehow get control of the Senate, I think Trump is right about this. They will eliminate the filibuster. If they were to win in 26 and 28, they will pack the courts. They will make D.C. and Puerto Rico states. They will do a lot of terrible things in a very, very short period of time. So what keeps me up at night is our political future. And I think we do have a lot of good things going right now, but it can all come to a screeching halt and go the exact opposite direction in the blink of an eye. So I worry about that. I hope President Trump spends 2026 doing what he does best, which is selling. We've done a lot of great things. He's put a lot of balls in the air, and a lot of them have gone through the hoop. But now it's time to sell, and it's time to sell domestically. I think he's been one of the greatest foreign policy presidents we've had in recent memory. That doesn't typically move the needle domestically, and so I think it's time to sell on the domestic front. I do think the big, beautiful bill was great. I think the welfare reform was great. Making tax cuts permanent was great. Middle-class tax cuts for working-class people was great. Solving the immigration crisis was great. But what we talk mostly about with him right now is foreign policy. And look, I'm a motivated guy when it comes to foreign policy, but most voters are motivated by domestic issues. So I want them to turn him back into the middle of this country and go out and remind people why we kicked their asses to the curb last year and put him back in. And I know that he can do it.
Scott Jennings, CNN contributor. There's the token conservative right-winger on CNN, although he has done a much better job than the typical individual in that capacity. Speaking at the Manhattan Institute. And finally, air analysis, slightly acidic, mostly necessary. Typically, when somebody says politics keeps them up at night, I'm quick to say, whoa, Nelly, maybe get your priorities back in order. I just want to tell you in about a minute 45 seconds, Scott Jennings summed up everything I've been trying to say for the past month and a half or so. Everything he just articulated about what the left will do if they are given power ever again is absolutely right on the money. And yes, ultimately, as believers, as Christians, God is in control. He is in control. He is sovereign over the affairs of man. I believe that. That doesn't mean that we should not be concerned when the left tells us who they are and then carries out the threats of what they have been threatening. And you have every right in the world as a citizen of this country to be very concerned about that. Maybe even it does keep you up at night at times, thinking about what this type of country, what this type of world we're leaving for our children or grandchildren is. That's okay. And if it's keeping you up every night, I would say that's probably time to maybe pump the brakes, go touch some grass, go read the scripture, maybe do some charitable work as well in your community. But everything he said about what Democrats, what the left intends to do is right on the money. And his solution, his path forward for the White House, for Republicans, is incredibly simple. We can complain and moan all day, and rightfully so. And I just did a little bit earlier this morning about how worthless Republicans are in Washington, D.C. and Congress. They are worthless. But the Trump administration has done some really good things. The big, beautiful bill, I believe, is going to be really, really beautiful to a lot of people come tax time in about 4 or 5 months. Yes, President Trump has done a great job on foreign policy, a great job. But the messaging on the economy, the messaging on domestic issues has got to continue to get better. It's not been as bad as it was a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, but that has to be the singular focus. We just had a poll about this a couple of weeks ago. The singular focus of the Trump administration. Yes, they can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time, but in terms of messaging, the singular focus has to be on domestic issues. From here until November of next year, laser focused on those things. So hats off to Scott Jennings for articulating in about a minute 45 seconds everything that I've been trying to say over the past month and a half or so. That's going to do it for a Wednesday. Back at it again tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.